it's a much bigger and deeper issue than we can imagine. I say that because even though in the past few years more and more people have become aware of the issue of human trafficking, modern-day slavery, at the very least as an industry, I think in general we've missed its broader scope and implications. We've addressed it merely as an industry, something purely economic. And while a lot of people and organizations have done a good job of addressing a small part of those aspects, have we really looked into what's truly behind the issue of modern-day slavery? Is there perhaps something more sinister, more insidious to it than just business? Perhaps something spiritual, and something that the Bible has been warning us every single generation since the fall. That's what I mean when I say that it's much more than we imagine. Its scope is much larger than the controversy between good and evil. And today we're going to try to give you a very tiny introduction into how to begin interfering on a spiritual level with trafficking.
We're headed downtown. We've been trying to get people praying and churches praying more for their cities and for the issues of trafficking happening in some of those areas. And so we thought it might be helpful to just go to some of the places and I guess explain what to look for and what kind of places might need a little bit of extra prayer, I guess. The way that we've been trying to focus on doing what we can and getting other people to do what they can against the issues of trafficking in our towns and cities is really from the spiritual perspective first, trying to get people to pray and to put that as a first method, I guess, of attack, and and then everything else kind of follows that as the first thing. So we just want to go and look at a few different places and kind of say, these are some areas that you might want to focus on if you want to start praying for your city or for your town where you live, or getting your church to do that, because it can be really helpful to have more specifics, as far as what you're actually focused on, as far as praying for your city. So we're gonna drive around and look at a few places, and hopefully that will be helpful to anybody who wants to start joining with us, praying for your cities.
All right, so we have a motel here on this side of the road, and we've got another one here on this side of the road. The main difference is, even though they're both alongside the highway, which makes them possible places for human trafficking, is that this one has a truck stop, which increases the chance that it's a place where human trafficking takes place. So we're going to drive in here and see if there's any other things. And I came here a few weeks ago, and I dropped off some homeless people. So there definitely are some low-income or no-income families or individuals living here. And so if you have generally a group of people that are living here long-term, as well as extremely low rates for people who want to be here just for maybe a few hours, it's always a good combination if you want to make money off of the long-term tenants. And this is a very easy motel to pass by. I mean, you can tell that it's run down. It's kind of like in the corner. A lot of the curtains that are covering the windows are just in disarray. You've got trash up at the top in some of the balconies. Like, this is not, a place where people are like, oh, well, I found this place online, I want to stay here. It's just, you either know about it or you don't. Yeah, so here, if you guys notice, there's a truck stop here, Dunes Truck Plaza. And I'm not saying they have anything involved, but usually when you have places like where we're going right now across the street, you'll always have diesel gas stations with truck stops. So here at Lion's Den, which is closed right now, and we just had a heavy snowfall last night. This morning, all the roads were completely covered, all parking lots, like we could barely get into them. But this one's pretty easy to get into. You can tell that there's been tens of cars, lots of cars going through here, and even though it's closed, so since early this morning, there's been tons of traffic through this parking lot. no semi-truck parking. So I'm guessing they're all parking across the street. But you can tell that, why would a truck need to stop and get an adult video? Are they watching it while they're driving? Are they reading magazines while they're driving? It's more than just that. And this is not a knock against truck drivers, because most of them aren't involved in anything. But once again, it's that type of lifestyle that allows that mobile, very lonely lifestyle that sometimes you just want something more than just a video or a magazine.
Someone might ask, well, why do you approach the issue of trafficking through prayer or through the spiritual aspect first, instead of just trying to get out there and do something? Well, to even frame a question that way is to create a dichotomy that doesn't really exist. To say that we either pray or we do something is basically to say that they're two different things. And in fact, it's the very first something that we're to do, whether in counter-trafficking work or any other type of work that we might do. Everything else that we do in our lives as Christians should actually only be done as a result of the first thing that we did, which was spending time in prayer. And I think we actually all know this already, at least in theory, because if we believe that God really does hear and answer prayer, then it only follows that the first source of help that we go to in anything that we do should be the most powerful and most knowledgeable and most effective source of help, which would, of course, be God. So many times the closest we can really get to the issue is not to a victim, but to a general place where trafficking might be taking place. That's why it's important to learn how to identify general areas to pray for, so that God can break down those barriers that are keeping them in bondage and keeping us from reaching them.